Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio brings you the latest developments in business and economic cycles of Nigeria and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are talking Techie Nigeria, and our focus today is on the launch of the electronic currency, which we call E-Naira in Nigeria. Now, the federal government on Monday, 25th of October 2001, launched this very important digital currency for Nigerian citizens. And it is the hope of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration that this move will help in raising the value of the Naira and, of course, fight inflation. I'm in the studio today with an ICT expert, Mr. Haniel Jafaru, with whom I'm going to do great justice to this very important topic. Haniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Now, Nigerians were optimistic on Monday about the launch of the digital currency, tagged E-Naira. And so the federal government, through President Muhammadu Buhari, said that they expect it to add a value of $29 billion to the Nigerian GDP in the next 10 years. How optimistic can that be?
It's even supposed to be more considering the rate at which Nigerian carry transactions electronically. There is high tendency for it to be more. They are putting a projection. They need to put figures to that projection, and that's why they come up with that 28 or 29 billion. So generally, the launch of the E-Naira is a good one. We are among the first few countries, top five,
the first in Africa.
For the first in Africa to launch. Yeah, but I just hope that we have done our extensive research, because US started research before us.
Yes.
They started researching about the CBDC, the Central Bank Digital Currency, but we launched before them. So what is the reason behind that? I don't know, but that is the next line of action, as long as digital currency is concerned, and as long as the IT world is concerned. Most persons have always asked this question of, I send money electronically, so why is it now different from the E-Naira? Well, yeah, it's quite different. The huge difference between you sending money electronically and you sending money via an E-Naira. Now, electronic transfer is more of like a digital representation of your physical cash. It is just a digital representation of your physical cash, and your physical cash is in the hands of your bank. But the digital currency, the E-Naira, is not a digital representation. Instead, it is a currency on its own, and it is not in possession of your bank. It is in the custodian of the person that is giving you the currency, which is the CBN. So there are two different things. There are two different entities. We need to first understand the concept of the E-Naira before we begin to even ask questions that will contradict, I believe.
Okay. Oh, there's another part of the optimism is that it's going to fight inflation, for instance. We don't understand. Maybe experts like you will, throw more light on this. How the digital currency will help reduce the rate of inflation in the country, and of course, shore the Naira up. You can see that Naira is not particularly doing well at the moment. And so what are the real variables that will guarantee any success against inflation, or shoring up the value of the Naira in this circumstance?
The inflation generally comes as a result of the high cost of buying dollars. That's the major cost of inflation. So in a situation whereby you are using the E-Naira to do your exchange instead of the physical cash, now instead of you buying in dollars, you're using your E-Naira to make your purchase, because one thing E-Naira is going to do is that it's going to enable cross-border trade. That means you don't need to be in China to pay. You don't need to get US dollars physically. In the case of you buying from an American company, you don't need US dollar. With your E-Naira, on the long run, there's going to be an exchange platform where all CBDC platforms are going to be exchanging currencies from. You want to buy dollar, you have to go to you use your E-Naira to buy E-dollar. You want to buy Polar, you use your E-Naira to buy E-Polar for Botswana. You want to buy Rand, you use your E-Naira to buy E-Rand. You get, so at the end of the day, you find out that platform is going, it's completely managed by the system. It is not physically, it is not something that is being managed by Beru de Change now. You get Beru de Change, they do the management, so they are humans and they can always add up figures when they want to add up figures and all that. But in this case, the system is the one doing it. So the system has been configured and has been designed to increase at demand, at excess demand, and reduce at low demand. So it knows how to put in all the permutation to ensure that the currency is either increases or reduces. But the long run is the good thing is this: there is now a system that does the exchange and no longer the BDC. And as a result of that, we'll get true value for money and true value for products that we are buying from outside the country, and this would make us to see the true value of the products we are getting, and in turn will ensure that there is no inflation.
Okay, one other thing that a lot of people have drawn attention to is yes, it is possible it will help to stabilize the naira, but another thing is that a major cause of inflation is also the low productivity level of the country, where we have less and less of a product and depend more and more on imported goods, and that is what is actually putting pressure on the naira. Now, if we have less productivity in the last couple of years, and we do not have goods and services with which to exchange, in order to get forex from other parts of the world, how then does this E-Naira come to rescue us from this poor productivity and poor services that we don't have, virtually don't have in the country?
We focus so much on the product, forgetting the fact that we are very good with services. And because of payment has always been a major reason why most Nigerians are not seen in outside the comfort of Nigeria. Yes, because when they want to pay you, it's always a concern. By the time they consider the cost of payment, the cost of transfer, the cost of this is almost equivalent to the amount they are paying you. So instead of prefer to do it to give that same service to somebody that is close to them or someone that is within the country that service is needed. But with the advent of E-Naira now, it's now easier for Nigerians to sell their services. Now, I'm not talking about products. Yes, we are a consuming nation in the area of product, but we are also very good in the area of services. Yeah. So, especially IT-based services, it will help Nigerians to be able to sell our graphic designers. It will help Nigerians to be able to sell our web developers. It will help Nigerians to be able to sell our software developers and all those soft skills that Nigerians are very, very good at. And that in turn would complement the area of products that we don't have. So I think it's still a win-win for everyone.
Well, yeah, they still have to look at the area of product.
No, I'm not ruling out I'm not ruling out. It will be an advantage if we are selling both products and services. But now at least we have services. Let's start from there.
Okay. One other thing that we're talking about is there's a form after the fanfare of launching the E-Naira, for instance, and of course the optimism that is driving it. But it's not all just about optimism. There are some other things that are supposed to be done. For instance, what kind of internet penetration can we use to drive this process? Because it actually needs a whole lot in that dimension.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would want to first ensure that our viewers know that I'm not with CBN. Let it not be as if I am speaking on their behalf. Yes. But we need to understand that these things are in phases. And the last phase of this launch, this is just the initial launch.
Yes.
They've not onboarded and government parastatal have not been onboarded, NDAs have not been onboarded into the platform. So many people and so many things need to be onboarded in the platform. Merchant needs to be onboarded in the platform in the situation whereby you want to make your payment, you want to fly, you are paying with your E-Naira instead of you paying with your regular cash or with your credit card and all that. So the last phase of this product, of this launch, is the phase where we would do offline access. That means you don't need an internet to access your E-Naira. Okay, so I think the CBN has a plan of making that possible, but that will be on the last phase of the launch.
Is it in the pipeline?
Yeah, well, how would I know? But it's part of the process, and definitely the whole essence of the E-Naira is financial inclusion.
Yes.
Now, Nigeria has, at 2020, the percentage of adults that have bank accounts are around 64%. That means around 36%, which is almost 38 million adults who don't have a bank account. Okay. So the whole essence of this E-Naira is financial inclusion, so that we can be able to capture those 38%, 38 million adults that are yet to have a bank account to come in. And if you want to look at it, majority of those that don't have bank accounts is as a result of illiteracy. So one way you can curb that is not by giving them phone and giving them internet. Instead, by giving them a platform where they can operate without them focusing their attention on, I don't have phone, I don't have internet. And that's where the offline platform comes in.
Okay. Now there's another thing many people are also looking at. Yes, it is good for transactions. Of course, it will be a store of value, and it will curb inflation and so on and so forth. There's another thing, however, when a program like this is launched, just like you mentioned, there are some level of illiteracy. People are not too acquainted with this for now, and you were talking about inclusion. How then do you include people who do not have as much an idea of what you are doing? By launching this kind of process, how much of orientation, how much of this information was made available to the people before the launch of this particular platform? And of course, you know that a whole lot of people will be looking forward to this. And how many people are actually literate in terms of this, electronic process? How can they access it? It's not a matter of launching a program that is beautiful in nature, but then when it comes to the implementation, the haphazard nature of things that we always see in Nigeria will begin to display itself. So how do we handle such a situation?
Well, for me, I don't think that's going to be an issue. The reason I think it won't be an issue is because when ATM came to be, most persons originally had never intend to use ATM, especially those in the rural communities. They didn't know what ATM means. They didn't know what it does. These are just things that comes to us as women. Generally, we're always very we are always defensive in the first instance of things like this. But on the long run, we find ourselves embracing it. So yes, for now, we may have those, especially those in the rural community, those that are literate. They may not be so comfortable with it, but I think by the time the offline platform comes to be, it would mandate them to do it. Notwithstanding, it's not as though that the regular cash is going away. It's not going away. So it's just an alternative to the regular cash and ease of payment. But by the time your mother that is in the village and you that is in the city, you have a wallet, and your mother in the village does not have a wallet, and you know that you can transfer to your mother in the village without being charged, he would encourage her to get her wallet. If possible, you will help her to do the necessary thing and teach her how it goes. So that's generally how I think everything's going to play out.
All right. If you are just joining us, we've been talking the digital currency that was launched by the federal government on Monday, and looking at the advantages it will bring to the Nigerian economy, and of course the Nigerian citizens as they get set to embrace this very noble initiative from the federal government. I will take a short break. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. I'm still in the studio with Haniel Jafar.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about the E-Naira and all you need to know about this new initiative that was launched by the federal government on Monday with so much fanfare. And the benefits were just rolled out to you on Monday by the president as one of the measures to curb inflation and also improve the value of the Naira. But then there are some areas of challenges that might come with this very noble initiative, and behoves on the government and all and sundry to put heads together to find a way of trying to ameliorate some of the risks that might be involved in this very important project. I'm still in the studio with Hanil Jafaru, an ICT expert, doing justice to this wonderful topic. Now, Hanil, before we went on that short break, we talked so much about the benefits of this. I've mentioned about curbing inflation, which is one of the biggest problems of the Nigerian economy now. And of course, adding as a store of value to the Nigerian, and they're easy payment. Yeah. Now, initiatives like this are not without their risks. Mm-hmm. Of course, we know that. So as an ICT person, how would you, inform the people on what to see, or what to expect when it comes to the risks involved in this noble objective?
As good and as noble as this innovation is, and this technology, definitely there's this saying that everything has an advantage, has a disadvantage, and the risk that comes with enaira is enormous from a cybersecurity perspective.
Yes.
The first thing is the fact that we are practically shutting out commercial banks.
That's a big problem.
Yes. Well, banks generally, not even commercial banks, because the way when you're doing transfer, I want to transfer to you, you use Zenith Bank, I use, let me say, EcoBank, and for my fund, for money to leave my account to get to your account, there is an interbank settlement system that does all the exchange and all that. Now I'm no longer doing that. If I want to make transfer from my wallet, I do it directly to you without a bank. The way the CBN has adopted the wholesale CBDC approach, and the wholesale CBDC approach would mean that you have to still pass through the bank to access your enaira. However, that does not mean that your money is with the bank. It only means that you are accessing the enaira through the bank, but the money does not remain with the bank. So any money that your enaira is resident in the system that is managed and controlled by central bank. Now, once people begin to move their physical cash or their electronic representation of physical cash to the wallet system, that's the digital currency, it would mean that central banks will no longer have physical cash. And when they no longer have physical cash, it invariably means that they no longer have cash.
Yes.
And when they don't have cash, it means that they won't be able to give credit facilities. So the case of loan, we're going to see low loan availability or access. Now that's just one of it. What is the situation whereby they don't even have funds entirely, or people have moved all the money that belongs to a bank, or all the money that they keep in a bank, to the digital wallet. It means that the bank does not have money. So it's going to end up.
Would it not end up wiping away banks?
For banks, it will end up shutting them and liquidating banks.
I only hope the federal government put all this in.
Yeah, they did, and I think they have even asked banks to change their objective instead of to begin to look at a way of getting an objective that aligns with the enaira, because the enaira is going to bring for a whole lot of innovation, and one innovative thing that the enaira is going to bring competition. So with all these, we have big commercial banks. They are going to go down to not having a commercial bank, because what a commercial bank can do, a simple wallet system will be able to do it, apart from giving you credit facilities.
And that's a very big risk for the banks.
Yes, it
Very
is.
big risk, because if they have to remain in business, how then do they key into the system?
They would, when they redesign their objective, they will key into the system.
Well, the problem is how to redesign the objective, because I understand that the Central Bank of Nigeria would actually be the one in control of this digital economy. Would there be any kind of decentralization process that will put the banks to also have some stake in it, so that they will use them to at least maintain their stability?
From the design and the approach that we have taken, that the Central Bank is implementing, I don't think. Yes, they would give one. Okay, one of the way they are making commercial bank to be relevant is by ensuring that there is limits in the amount you have in your wallet system.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's for the short term, not the long term, because on the long run, those limits are going to be removed. Because so now, commercial banks should. It is not a thing of they should not wait till when they are told. They should read in between the lines to know that the days of commercial banks are coming to an end. So they should begin to look at a way of redesigning their objective, their vision, their mission, to align with the digital currency that we're going into. That's just one of the risks.
We have other risks.
Yeah, there are other risks.
The cybersecurity aspect.
The cybersecurity aspect. It is now we have decided the CBN is running with the Hyperledger, open source software. That's what they're using to run this thing. So now, because it is an open source software, it has a level of reliability. Okay. That means most persons can test to see how stable and how vulnerable or exposed the software is. However, it is an IT system. And it is uncertain. As reliable as it is, as reliable as research are making it look, it is still a machine. You are trying to transfer, and all of a sudden the machine goes down. What happens to your money? That brings us to the third risk: financial loss. Research as secured as cryptocurrency is, which gave birth to the CBDC. We have had about $2 billion lost to hackers.
Well, that is even where you have some very effective system.
Yeah. So we've had over $2 billion been lost to hackers in a system that is considered to be secure, which gave birth to the CBDC. So what should we now expect for the CBDC that is being controlled and managed by a private entity known as the Central Bank of Nations? Yeah. So the cybersecurity risk, it is not as though that we should shut down the system. It only means that we should mitigate it by putting in measures. We should put in measures. And I believe that they must have done it. The Central Bank must have done it. But notwithstanding, it's a huge risk that we cannot. And another thing that we should note is that because the Central Bank is the one controlling it, it exposes the operation of the central bank to the public. They are the one. It is no longer the commercial bank.
Yes, this is a challenge I'm talking about now. The central bank having the sole control. That's a centralized form of operation. And if you do that, just like you said, you have exposed them to certain attacks. Cyber attacks. Why don't you find a way of trying to also co-opt the other financial institutions like the commercial banks to have a major stake in it? Since probably we can through the commercial banks also get across the e-wallet thing to the people instead of completely shutting them out. We're talking about decentralization now.
But by the time you do that, it now becomes a cryptocurrency which they are trying to avoid.
But what is that? When we're talking about that, what are they trying? Is it not the same? What is the difference?
They won't be able to when you leave commercial banks to begin to be in charge of every commercial bank to have their own. It will be difficult for the central bank to manage the amount of money.
But they can regulate something like that.
it will be difficult then for them to do that, because this is an electronic. It's not. They definitely must have put that into consideration. They would have thought of the fact that if there was a way for us to involve, the best way for them to involve commercial bank is the way that they've done by going for the wholesale CBDC. They would have, if they want to completely eliminate commercial bank from the launch, they would have just done retail. So you don't need commercial banks to even open an account or to get a wallet.
Okay, before we even get to that level, when we're actually not, so there are some things that bring some form of discomfort to us. Whenever you hear that a new initiative like this, especially when it has to do with electronic processes, it has, just like you mentioned, the advantages and not the disadvantages, the risks involved. One of which, of course, if the banks cannot control this, it means they have to, if they don't devise a new method of operating within the system, the new system, some of them will definitely have to go down. And going down means that the workers in the banks will have to start looking for jobs elsewhere. And that is not what we actually intend for a country that is only suffering from high level of unemployment in recent times. So people in the bank should actually begin to put out their thinking caps and see how they are going to make this. But it's not going to be an easy job for them.
Yes, it's not, and that is the bitter truth. The bitter truth is that person's bankers will lose their job. It's not as lucrative as it used to be.
Because I have some money.
Because we have, floater wave would operate almost in the same capacity as a bank. In fact, as it stands now, they even have more capital. They have more capital base compared to most Nigerian banks with the old buildings that we have. So all these banks and branches that we have, the banks will begin to sell them, and as they are selling, they are terminating appointments and all that. So this, it's not happening now, but it will happen. So while waiting for it to happen, let's think ahead.
Yes.
If you're in a bank, if you're a banker, it's time for you to put on your thinking cap and see how best you can function in this new dispensation of e-currency, because it's not just Nigeria.
Yes.
About 80 to 88% of countries worldwide are researching. Only 5 to 10% have launched their pilots. China has launched, Bahamas have launched, Nigeria have launched, and some other country in Southern America have launched. So countries are launching their pilots. So working with the assumption that this pilot launch becomes successful, these are the implications. Bankers would lose their job. Yeah, most of these things are going to be electronic. There's going to be new types of jobs that will come forth, but not the regular kind of jobs that we see in the banking sector, because there will be no need for you to have FX teller.
Yes.
You have your regular local deposit teller, then you now have your FX. No, it is the same. It is the system that will do it. I am now eliminating the need for a bank, so I am sending money directly to you that is not being mediated by a system. So they should begin to look at a more a better way to function in this new era. That is what we can do. We can make you available the information to you. So it's up to you to make decisions on whether you want to remain relevant in the banking sector or you want to probably switch career.
All right. If you're just joining us, we'll be talking about the E-Naira, the digital currency that was launched by the federal government on Monday, the 25th of October, 2021, with so much optimism that it will bring down inflation and help to build the GDP to about $29 billion in the next 10 years. Experts have said that it could be more, but the federal government is being moderate in its estimation on how this very important project will help to shore up the economy of the nation going forward. I've been in the studio with Hanil Jafaru, an ICT expert who has been helping me to do justice to this very important topic. Hanil, it's been wonderful having you. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's on that note that we call it a day on today's edition of Money Radio. We promise we're going to bring you a bumper edition when next we come. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.